So here's the irony of what happened at Bondi Beach yesterday in Australia when two Muslim terrorists killed 15 innocent men and women ages 10 to 87 years old, with 42 hospitalized, while a man named Ahmed Al-Ahmed, who happens to be Muslim at 43 years old, steps in, we've all seen the video, takes away the weapon, gets shot twice, is celebrated as a hero, which he ought to be. But you know what the irony is? The irony is even one good, peaceful Muslim man couldn't save the life of 15 innocent human beings celebrating Hanukkah, which is what their religion is about, from two Muslim jihadist extremists from killing them. So I don't care if 90% is peaceful. The 10% true believers, jihadists, that hate what America stands for, that hate the Western ideology, that hate us protecting women, us allowing women to vote, that hate the freedom of speech model that we have, that hate the Second Amendment model that we have, that hate the capitalistic society that we have. And we have to sit on the sidelines and be worried about being called Islamophobic? Really? I lived in Iraq for 11 years and I saw what this was all about. If Americans cannot see what's going on in Australia, tragic event, breaks my heart. There's a lot of Assyrians and Armenians who live in Australia, and I'm Assyrian and Armenian. There's a lot of people. A pastor, Bishop Marmari, got stabbed in the eye. A Syrian bishop who was very much needed, his voice during COVID, got stabbed in the eye by a Muslim boy at 19 years old. Here's a bishop that went to Gaza to pray for Gazan families. He went there with his church. A 19-year-old comes and stabs him in the eye. And he still forgave him because our religion of Christianity believes in that. We're supposed to sit in America, think it's okay with what's going on in Deerborne and Somalia, and Governor Tim Walz has the audacity to get up and say we're going to let even more Somalians in.
We are going to defend our neighbors, and we're going to advocate things that make a difference. And so, you know this, but I think it's important in this moment for us to gather together, for us to figure out, I don't know how to do it, because these guys bring out the worst in me. I hate when I get to that point where it gets petty. I hate when the sense of anger comes upon you. But the antidote to that is positive actions to improve lives that go against what they're trying to do. So instead of demonizing our Somali community, we're going to do more to welcome more in and welcome people there. Instead of cutting the program, we're going to enhance that.
Wow. Folks, the world feels like it's on fire. A tragic mass shooting rocks Sydney, Australia. Brown University faces its own campus shooting, and corruption in Dearborn, Michigan explodes into the spotlight. From global terror trends to homegrown dysfunction, we're breaking it down what the mainstream media won't. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all as you watch this broadcast. It's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. Of course, we have Nicole Bennett.
Hey, y'all.
And Shelly E.
Hi, everybody.
Wow, we have a lot to cover tonight. Please, folks, before we light this fire, do your part. Tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We are live here on YouTube. If you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. As you all saw, we are going to start out tonight with covering this horrifying mass shooting at the onset of Hanukkah in Australia. All right. You saw that was PBD breaking it down at the start of the show. I want to get your thoughts on this, Shelley. We all know what has occurred. I mean, it's just, I have no words. I just have no words on this.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for a brave person, not pedestrian, but bystander, there would have been more people. But so far, I believe there are 15 people who were dead.
Yep.
This.
As I'm sitting here on a Monday in the United States of America, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. All of the carnage. What I told you, I think I was telling you, I mentioned earlier, I'm calling this the murder, mayhem, massacre, and mourning weekend. That's what it was. It's overwhelming, but I also want to say this, and we'll talk about it more. The Jews are the thermometer. That's what they are. The Jews are the thermometers. These people, these Islamists, these jihadists, these people are coming for Western civilization, and they want America and Israel first. They'll take the Jews anywhere they can get them, but they're coming for Western civilization.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your first thoughts on this mass shooting in Australia, Bondi Beach?
My heart breaks for our friends and fans in Australia, for their family members, for the Jewish community. But it's about time that the world gets very serious about what's happening. Jews are being hunted. This is not random political violence. They are literally being hunted like they're prey, and the world is standing by. You know, there's a term that we say, we will never forget. You go to the Holocaust Museum here in Washington, D.C., they say it maybe 15, 20 times throughout the museum. We will never forget. Can I tell you, the world has forgotten. The world has forgotten. And it is absolutely obscene that the world did not come running to help when this first started. When we first started having this violent anti-Semitism here in the United States, the Biden administration let it run rampant. And it has triggered all over the world. This has got to stop. And the only way you stop this kind of evil is to stamp it out. You can't be diplomatic with it. You can't just, talk it away. You can't convince it to stop. This type of evil has to be eradicated, period.
Yeah. It was a father and son team, two gunmen, opened fire. Again, this was a public Hanukkah festival at Sydney, Australia's iconic Bondi Beach. And now the death toll I'm seeing here, according to ABC News, is looks like 16 dead, 40 plus injured, including 2 cops. And one of the victims was a 10-year-old girl. My goodness. Also, a Holocaust survivor, Alexander Kleitman, died shielding his wife. I mean, these are some of the people. I believe there was a French soccer player who was killed, Dan Eliakim, and an elderly folks like 78 years old to 82 years old. I mean, this is awful. This is awful. And as you mentioned, I mean, it feels like the leaders within our country, within the West, are laying by and letting these things happen. It's like it's as if they want chaos. They want a total destruction of the West. Am I going too far by saying that, Shelley?
No, I don't think you are going too far. And Miranda Devine was reporting today in the New York Post some of the, I guess, history, the last 2 years, certainly, of what's been going on in Australia between their mayor, their prime minister. Apparently, they have had protests virtually, or if not every weekend, virtually every weekend for the last 2 years since October the 7th, 2023. And they're protesting, quote unquote, on the wrong side, if you will, right? They're protesting for Palestinians to have a country or whatever, pro-Palestinian from the river to the sea. These people have been doing that in Australia. Not to mention, if you add up, that's just one part of it. But add in the very strict gun laws that they have. for Australian citizens, but the immigrants can come in apparently like this guy did and get not one, not two, however many multiple licenses. Okay, these people are helping the terrorists. Many of our politicians are, granted, this was in Australia, but here in America is no different. Many of our politicians, I've said it before and I've said it again, and I literally really just started saying this, I think, this year. Every American, number one, if you are promoting the interests of certainly Islamic countries, jihadist countries, you should not be in office. Number one. Number two, if you were not born on American soil, then you cannot hold office. That's where I am. That's where I am. And I know I'm not saying that's going to solve everything, but I'm sick of financing, literally as an American, financing and subsidizing ideologies and people who want us destroyed on our dollar. Basically, we're paying you to destroy us.
Yeah. And what kind of struck me is we're told that Black folks are being hunted in the street and killed. And this is what is being pushed by the left, not Jews, but people of color are the ones that need to look out for their lives. But as we've seen within the last year or so, and not even last year, you can go over within the last weekend, Amsterdam, Germany, California, all had mass shooting styles or mass shootings or large scale shootings targeting Jews. But here we have Sonny Hostin here of The View, along with many other on the left, saying that it's people of color who are being hunted, racism is our number one issue. Take a look here. This is clip 8.
This is a country based on racism and slavery, and founded in it. There is systemic racism
and misogyny.
And there are people that I've never met anyone that raises their hand and says, I am racist. However, there are people that seem to be able to look the other way when it comes to racism. So you have a president who traffics in misogyny, who traffics in xenophobia, who traffics in sexism.
And won.
And won against a Black woman. So don't tell me that this country
racist people in this country.
And there are absolutely racist people in this country. It is not the vast majority of people in this country. And I feel
we
like
don't know that. We don't know
the FBI
that.
director said white supremacy is the biggest threat to our country today.
Well, that still doesn't mean that that's the vast majority of people are. I just don't believe that in my day-to-day life that the people that you're encountering harbor racist viewpoints. I do think that this division that we're creating.
If you look like me, you would believe differently.
But you know what, Alyssa, the woman.
But just to understand, are we saying, do we think the vast majority of Americans are racist? That's what I'm trying to help me understand.
I think that there is a significant portion that are racist, and you can't dismiss my lived experience.
And I never would say. I would never.
And you can't dismiss my lived experience. Oh, Shelley. So, is white supremacy our number one issue, or is it radical Islam, or is it neither?
First of all, Sonny's lying. Okay. First of all, she tell Alyssa, if you look like me or something like that, or whatever. Well, she does look like you. You just got on makeup. You just got on makeup, okay? She does look like you, number one. Number two, your lived experience, you can take it and wipe your ass with it, okay? Because it really means zero. Now, if you're talking historically, that's a whole different thing. Black people are not being hunted. Oh, let me correct myself. If they are being hunted and gunned down, it's by other Black people. It's other Black people that look like you, Sonny, that look like me, okay? White supremacy is this foolish, ignorant, fake privilege theory that you all live off of. Islamist, jihadism, Sharia law, those are the deeper, more important ideologies, okay? Don't pay Sonny no damn mind. I would love, I can't wait. That's one of my wishes, to be sitting next to her on that show. Oh my gosh, I crave for it. I just feel like a drug addict to be sitting there next to her. They're lying, they're stirring up. She's lying, okay? Your children ain't been called no niggas on no damn Florida beach, okay? Unless it was their buddy saying, hey, what's up, my nigga? That's all it was.
Yeah, Nicole. I mean, we are constantly told this all through, all from the left, and
Mhm.
now on the right now. Some on the right, people are calling the woke right, are not putting the attention on radical Islam. What are your thoughts?
You know, we spend so much time as a race looking behind us, we can't see what's in front of us. And this is a problem. It stifles growth economically, it stifles growth socially, spiritually. If we spend all of our time looking in the rearview mirror, we miss the big picture coming at us. And historically, that is what has happened. All of the opportunities for us to advance the ball have been fallen short because we're so worried about what happened 200 years ago. We're so caught up in it. Now, I'm not saying forget history. I'm saying stand on it. This is what I'm saying. Stand on the history and move the ball forward. You know, I think it was Maya Angelou who had this great poem that has a line that says, I am the hope and the dream of the slave. We are living the life that they gave everything for. And Sonny Hostin's lived experience, I would take 5 or 6 times over my own lived experience. You mean you grew up on an island in Dominican Republic? Isn't that where she's originally from, Dominican Republic, and came here to the wonderful United States and had this great education, became an attorney, married a surgeon, lives in a beautiful penthouse, and her kids don't have to worry about where their next meal's coming from. She doesn't have to worry about where her next meal is coming from. She gets paid millions of dollars to sit there and pontificate about an era of American history that she has no idea about. She's wrapped herself up in this victimhood. And by doing that, she's insulated herself from ever pushing anyone else forward except for herself, because that victimhood keeps her in that seat on The View. That's what keeps her there. And her and Alyssa about the same damn color. The only difference is she got a little bit more kink on that weave than Alyssa wears. That's the only difference. If they swapped out hair weave, would we be able to tell them apart? I mean,
No.
it's ridiculous. This is absolutely obscene what these women do. But I get it. For her, it's the grift. As long as she's so pro-Black that she can't even stand herself, the checks keep coming.
There it is. There it is, right there in a nutshell. All right, folks, thank you.
Super chatters.
Oh yes, go ahead, Shelly.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. We have 2 super chatters. The producer just gave me a warning. Thank you, Dallas. Hi, Dallas. Where have you been?
Yay, Dallas.
$2 super chat says Sonny is a slave owning descendant. Shut up. Yes. Bernie, thank you, Bernie, for becoming a freedom seekers for our YouTube club. Thank you for that so much, and thank you for your support. Everybody, we forgot to say it, or I forgot to say it. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Please go ahead, just smash it right now. Show your anger by hitting that button so our content can go all around the world. Okay, hit that button, like, share, and subscribe, and we thank you for your support.
All right, absolutely, folks. So, again, in one of the before we leave this topic, I just want to. I was talking with Shelly earlier, and you know, I don't know, people who watch the show for a while know that many years ago, well, for most of my life, I'd say I was on the left. I was a Democrat, and I never knew how much Jews experience so much hate. I never knew that. I never realized, I should say, how anti-Semitic the world is. And I don't know if it was because I'm just realizing it. It seems like it's on a rise. I mean, again, when we talk about things going on and violence and discrimination and hatred, I mean, just this weekend, all across the world, there have been attacks on Jews. In DC, just a couple of months ago, we had a targeted attack on the ambassadors. They were ambassadors in DC, and so I mean, what's going on here? Why is it? It doesn't seem like enough. People aren't sounding the alarms about this, Nicole. Am I overreacting, or is this a real thing?
No, it's a very real thing. I think it was last March or April, a friend and I were going on a cruise out of New York City. You guys know how much I love the cruise. So she had on a Star of David as we were walking out of the hotel to the port. It's maybe 2 blocks, 3 blocks, walking down the street. She was so nervous from the people staring at her and her Star of David around her neck. It was one of those necklaces that if you pull it, it just makes a regular chain. So she snatched it apart and she's walking, and I'm looking at her. I was like, "What did you do to your necklace?" And she's like, "I don't want to fight with these people. I don't want to fight with these people. I just want to get to the port and enjoy the cruise." Now imagine a Christian person walking down the street and they can't wear a crucifix because of the reaction of other people. America would be up in arms. Dearborn, Michigan. They got bikers out there. They got, all kind of podcasters out there because Christianity is being threatened by this Islamic jihadist invasion that's happened there. Imagine how people who can't practice their faith around the world, with not only fear of people yelling and disagreeing with you, but people who absolutely want your life to be over. When they chant from the river to the sea, they're not giving geographic locations. That's not what that's about. They want Jewish people dead, period, gone, eradicated. And for a very long time, the world has said, "Oh, yeah, it's okay." But here's the truth of the matter. For people who are not exactly Jew friendly, after the Jews, who do you think they're going to come for next?
Christians.
Where does the line? Oh, honey, right behind the Jews. And maybe a little bit before then. Yeah. We have to stomp out this evil now. There's no other way. There's no other way.
Yeah. And that takes us to this Brown University shooter. I mean, there are reports that this shooter may have been targeting a Christian conservative. This young lady who was one of the victims of this shooting. Take a look here. This is clip 4.
I want to share a word with you before we sing and before you hear the name in our prayers. It's a tremendous heaviness that is upon our congregation today. Many of you heard about the tragedy which happened at Brown University, the shootings which took place, and a number of young people who died. And sadly, tragically, one of those people is one of our parishioners. Ella Cook was one of those. Richard and Anna Cook's daughter, Hooker, and Mary Hamner's sister was one of those. And for those of you who knew her, who know her, she was a just incredibly grounded and generous and faithful and bright light, both here at the Advent over many years as she was engaged and involved in our worship and our community, and as she served here at the church and in the wider community. In all sincerity, just a tremendous and bright light, and there at Brown University as well in the time that she was there, was such a light and such a witness. And as we gather as a people today, of course, we remember the words from John's Gospel: "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not, and the darkness will not overcome it." And I'm grateful in the midst of the heaviness and the sadness that we gather and grieve as people who are hopeful. The name of Jesus, as Dean will preach in just a moment, quite literally means "the Lord saves." And that was very much at the heart of Ella's life and the way that she engaged life and engaged the people around her. And we hear the words from the prophet Isaiah: "And the ransomed of the Lord shall return and come to Zion with singing. Everlasting joy shall be upon their heads. They shall obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away."
Wow. So, I mean, this is heartbreaking. So again, they were talking about their parishioner, sophomore Ella Cook. She was from Alabama, and she has been identified as one of the 2 victims who was murdered during a mass shooting at Brown University on Saturday afternoon. She was attending a study review session for an economics class. Now, there's some I don't know we're still trying to figure out this economics class apparently was being taught by a Jewish professor who apparently this was an economics class that may have been centered around Israel. So there may have been some sort of targeting for that as well. But 2 students were killed and 9 others were injured. And again, this young lady apparently was she was known as a leader in the Republican of being in the Republicans at the school where she was vice president. I'm sorry. So according to the Post Millennial. And so someone says here, and it broke my heart to learn that Ella Cook, a sophomore from Alabama, is no longer with us. She said, I knew Ella through Brown Republicans where she was vice president. Okay. Being a conservative at Brown isn't always the easiest, but Ella was never afraid to share her beliefs on an overwhelmingly liberal campus and support others in doing so. It really shouldn't be this way. We should not be afraid or hesitant as conservatives to talk about our beliefs. But we all know, at least all of us ladies on this panel know this is how it is, because we're here in Maryland in a liberal leftist state that treats us with disdain as well. We've been targeted. We've been harassed just because we are conservative. Nicole, what's going on here?
You know, we've gotten to a part in our society where if you don't absolutely walk in lockstep with someone, it's not that you disagree, but you're their mortal enemy. You know, it used to be a time where Americans could disagree vehemently and say, you know, I disagree with you vehemently, but you're an American like I'm an American. I'm going to go live my life. You go live your life. And where we can find common ground, we'll stand on it. Otherwise, go with God, right? We're no longer at that point. We've gotten to a point where everybody has to be right. And if you're not right, you have to kill the other person. You have to literally burn the village to make your point. And we see it over and over again when we look at these protests in the street of people who are protesting the king that we don't have, the president who doesn't act like a king. But you hear them say over and over again, you know, when a podcaster or a news person asks them a question, they say, well, I don't agree with that. And because I don't agree with that, I'm calling 911. I'm calling the police. What are you calling the police for? We can disagree and just walk away. We have gotten to a point where everybody has to be right and everybody has to be on your side, or it doesn't make sense in our minds anymore. This has really damaged the culture of Americans. That was what made us beautiful. You know, when people talk about America being a melting pot, I've never really seen America as a melting pot. We're more like a salad bowl, you know, lettuce and tomatoes and carrots and stuff. And the people at the top get more dressing than the people at the bottom, but it is what it is, right? We used to have something in common. We were at least all in the bowl and everybody wanted a little dressing on themselves. Nowadays, it's like no dressing for anybody but me and the people who agree with me. Even we see that in our politics. Talking about healthcare in America, you have politicians who are saying it's either my way or no way. We're shutting this government down. What? How did we get here? How did we get to a point where the most deliberative body in this nation no longer deliberates? We're really, really living in tough times, and something has got to happen to kind of break this chain, or maybe 250 years of this great republic is all we're going to get.
Wow. Yeah. Shelley, what are your thoughts? And this guy is still at large. A huge university like Brown University, it's an Ivy League, and they don't have him on camera.
Yeah. I thought about those aspects as well, particularly in Brown. This was amazing to me. Brown University, I think I read had like a $6 or $7 billion endowment. Many of these Ivy League colleges, and probably all of them, have at least $1 billion or more in an endowment. Why is there no security? This is money they should be spending on their student services, if you will, under that banner. They should have armed personnel at every building on these campuses. As much tuition and all the other fees and expenses that are charged to Americans, add in the fact that they can get financial aid and then the costs go up even more. There should be no excuse that they don't have armed personnel at every building. Now, the cameras, I'm blown away. There's a camera literally everywhere. Okay, you gotta be careful, because there's probably cameras when you go into a public bathroom. I mean, you know what I mean? And they can't get a camera at this one particular building. So I'm angry about that, because a lot of these, whether they're liberal or even if they weren't liberal, they still have Americans, and I'm talking about Americans' lives in their hand. Literally, we're sending our children off to be educated, whatever. But there's an element of safety that is built in, and they are not holding up their bargain, their end of the bargain. They're not. They're woefully incompetent or neglectful, malevolent in that area. A third thing I want to say. Again, the Jews of the thermometer. I'm going to say it again. The Jews of the thermometer. The rest of us, if you will, are what they want. They want to shut down Western society. The fact that this was on a college campus, no less, in a study session. Again, part of it says, okay, we're going to go to, again, shut down the speech, if you will. Quiet everyone. We're going to put them literally to rest forever, as many as he can probably get. They want to shut down Western society. I think Americans, I think we've been so comfortable and so, I don't know, protected, sheltered to a degree. We really don't understand what that means. Okay. Shutting down, getting rid of Western society means that America, Israel, and a few other countries in Europe are going to look like the hellhole in Somalia. Okay, that's what we're going to be. Maybe even Pakistan, some parts. That's what we're going to be. Okay, and we will be literally. You want to talk about Derek Chauvin, foot on the neck? This is what it's going to be. We don't have to worry about foot on the neck. Our necks will be cut off. Okay. Our heads will be detached from our bodies. We don't have to worry about that. We don't understand. We want to invite everybody in because we're so afraid of being called names, and we want to look like the good guys and the nice people. Fuck it. Okay. Because that's what they're saying to us. Fuck all of that. Call me whatever you want. I want the illegals out, and I damn near want all the immigrants out that are here legally, that want particularly the politicians that are advocating for every other country except for Americans. I want them out. I do. Make no qualms about it.
Yeah. The latest news on this Brown University shooting, according to the New York Post, cops have released a very grainy new video of the suspected shooter as they hunt for new leads. I mean, this person is still at large, and this is as of right now. There's a series of new videos revealing images of a man police are pursuing, showing him dressed in dark clothing with a black face mask, hiding most of his mug. One of the clips shows him milling outside near campus a few hours before the shooting, while other images show a side profile of the possible shooter walking on a sidewalk. This is scary, folks. This is very scary. I am praying that this person is found today. Again, there's a desperate manhunt right now, looking for this person. But I mean, he's still at large. So this Brown University needs to be taken to task for not having more cameras, more authorities, more protection, security for these students. I mean, we just had the Charlie Kirk assassination occur on a college campus. You would think there would be a heightened level of security on all college campuses all over the United States, Nicole. No,
not at all. Americans enjoy what we call a privileged first world existence, right? We have this expectation of safety that most of the world doesn't have. We have an expectation that when we go on a college campus, the worst thing that'll probably happen to you is you have to buy an overpriced book. You know what I mean? Sit through a boring class. The worst possible thing. Maybe somebody runs over your foot with a scooter. The worst possible thing. The rest of the world doesn't live that way. And Shelley's right. We've invited so much of the rest of the world into the nation, and they don't quite understand the level of nonchalance that Americans have. We really do. I mean, we go to ATMs and we got cash and we're wandering around with credit cards in our pocket, and the expectation that everything is going to turn out the way we set out is very much an American thing. The rest of the world doesn't live that way. They have to take precautions and protections. So when we look at our college campuses, many of them are sitting ducks. Many of them are wide open, beautiful fields of sitting ducks with cameras circa 1988. I mean, I've seen better cameras out of 7-Eleven than Brown sitting on $9 billion of tax-free endowment has. Every college campus has to step up. And I know it sounds so anti-American to have to put up so much security, but we've invited the enemy here. So we've got to live a different kind of way. It is ridiculous. I 100% agree with that, but it is our new reality. And until we can lock down this border and get these people out of this nation, we're all going to have to live in a heightened state of awareness. You remember after September 11th, and we had the color indicator, it's a red day, it's a green day, it's a yellow day. We're going to have to go back to that until we get these folks out of here. Until then, safety first.
Wow. All right, folks, as you all come in, please hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and subscribe. Our goal is to hit 250,000 subscribers by the end of this year. We can do it, but we need your help. So please, as you all come in, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so. What are you waiting for? If you like what you're hearing, we are trying to build a community of value-driven, like-minded people, folks, who love America. Again, as I said in the opening, we're God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. So stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right. So I just mentioned the Charlie Kirk assassination. Well, breaking news on that front. If you guys have been following us for the last several weeks, we have been covering the Candace Owens, TPUSA, Erica Kirk clash. Well, Erica Kirk announced today, actually she announced yesterday, I believe,
Over the weekend,
right, that she had spoken with Candace Owens. They were putting a halt on all live streams, social media notices, all of that concerning all of the turmoil between them, because they were going to meet today. Well, apparently they have met. Erica Kirk announced today that she had a productive conversation with Candace Owens, signaling a possible thaw in their rift following weeks of public tension in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. This is Fox News reporting. Kirk shared the brief update in a statement on X and hinted that more details would come. She's quoted as saying, had a very productive conversation with @RealCandaceO. More to come from both of us. Looking forward to AmFest this week. Time to get back to work. In a separate update on X, Candace Owens echoed the same message. She said, Erica and I had an extremely productive 4.5-hour meeting that I think we both feel should have taken place a lot earlier than it did. She goes on to say, we agreed much more than I had anticipated. Of course, we also disagreed on various points and people as well. Most importantly, we are able to share intel and clarify intent. She added that their conversation immediately helped ease tensions and that she would provide further updates tomorrow. So, want to get your ladies' thoughts on this. I'll start with you, Nicole. Think this is a good thing? What do you think is going to come of it?
It's going to be terrible. It's again, I wish I could be more optimistic about it. Erica goes into this as a very devout Christian woman, looking for the best, looking for the positive. And I keep saying it over and over again. Candace is bringing all the demons from hell with her. She's going to have her way. She has successfully insinuated her way into this grieving widow's life. It is absolutely absurd. And she doesn't have the wherewithal to fight her off. And it is so disgusting to me that nobody at TPUSA has a bit of a warrior spirit that can stand up to this, onslaught. So what we're going to get is more gossip, more innuendo, more hints. Erica might have had said this if you looked out of one eye and blinked your eyelashes 3 times. She probably could have had said this. And here's half a text message sent in the early 70s. A bunch of bullshit is what's going to come out of this. A bunch of bullshit. I'm hopeful that Candace saw the humanness in Erica, saw how much Erica is hurting, and maybe, just maybe, that softened her stance just a little bit. But I think the money is just too good. It's going to be too hard for her to give up until something else more sensational comes along. Maybe when SCOTUS comes down with the ruling on the 14th Amendment, she'll back off then. But until something else that's going to make her a bunch of money comes along, she's going to be like a pit bull with a greasy pork chop bone.
All right. Shelley, what are your thoughts? Are you more optimistic? What do you think is going to come out of this?
I'm not losing sleep one way or the other. Number one. Number two, Kansas is not going to stop. I've been saying that. I've been saying that since September, I guess, 11th or 12th, whenever she first started. Kansas is not going to stop. Number three, this is like the calm before the storm. Everybody's going to take a breath, and people going to feel optimistic one way or the other, and then the poop is going to hit the fan again. Just give it enough time and it will happen. Jude, I'm with you. Candace is not going to stop. And let me say that, and let me say this part. Get upset with me if you want, but the fact that it's not going to stop. You mentioned the money, Nicole, but guess what? There's money for everybody, because everybody can sort of downstream benefit or bank on this, so in a way, so to speak. So it's not going to stop. This feeds stuff like this feeds the fuel and the fire on social media. It does. It goes around the world. It keeps going on the loops. So hey, if you want to call it a grift, whatever, it's not going to stop. This is just a little rest period, and then it's going to start again. So. But let me see what our super chatters say. We have a couple of super chatters here. Thank you, Jason Mitchell, 641. Thank you for your $10 super chat. Thank you, Kung Fu. Thank you for joining us. Also, you are a member of our Freedom Seekers Club. You're one of our moderators. Thank you for your $5 super chat. He says, hello, Pat family. What I missed, please forgive me. You are forgiven. No problem at all. Thank you. We have is it TLJ? We have your $2 super chat. Thank you so much. She says they can't say anything because they are caught lying. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. But thank you for your super chat. Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
All right. Well, my thoughts are this. I don't know what transpired within the conversation. Really, none of us know. I do know this. Candace Owens, over the last several months, has insinuated that Charlie Kirk's widow and all of his and many of his friends and employees that he handpicked were part of an assassination on his life. Okay, she has also called evangelicals. She has insinuated that we are devil worshipers. Okay, she has she has hurled all kinds of accusations within the last couple of months. If what she has to say tomorrow does not include a recant, an apology for all that she has said, I don't think to me, this will make Erica look like a fool. Erica and TPUSA look like a fool. Okay. So this is what I want to hear. I want to hear Candace Owens say something along the lines where she had a conversation with Erica. Erica clarified some things, even if they aren't detailed, even if she doesn't go into specifics. Erica clarified some things, and she needs to take back many of the accusations that she made. Again, if we are coming from a Christian standpoint, folks, there is no forgiveness without repentance. All right. And if this woman cannot apologize or say that she was wrong, then I don't see how we can go on from here. I really don't. So that's my take on it. But we have a treat for you all. So tomorrow we are going to go live tomorrow evening sometime. So please, if you all are watching, make sure you are subscribed and you hit the notifications bell. And a special treat, we want you to join us. We're going to have a panel the entire time we are online from start to finish. We're going to open up the link and have you all join us tomorrow to discuss this and more. So again, tomorrow evening, I'd say around 8 o'clock, 8 or 9. Check us out. We'll definitely notify you. So hit your notifications bell. Come on, Pastor Damon. Come on, Kung Fu CJ. Join us on Poppin' Politics tomorrow night. We're going to have an open panel for you all, and we're going to sound off on this and all of the news and pop culture topics that are coming out tomorrow. So for tomorrow evening, we are so excited. And we're going to have some special people also on the panel join us as well. Some of your favorite podcasters. So this is not one you want to miss. Again, this is going to be tomorrow, Tuesday evening at 8 p.m.
All right. Well, let's go back to our super chatters. We have a few more ladies. Let's see. Who do we have here? We have TLJ again. Thank you for your $2 super chat. She says, check that she had the audience before CK unaliving. Check. Okay. All right. So thank you for that super chat. Butterfly Mama, thank you for your $10 super chat. She says, I used to love Candace's show, but she has lost her mind. I gave up on her show about 6 months ago. She is extremely narcissistic and evil. Thank you, Butterfly Mama. Fly, butterfly. We have Josh here. Josh, hi, Josh. Thank you for your $50.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
Josh says, I had a very sobering conversation with an extremely connected friend within the administration who says MAGA infighting equals British intelligence globalist psyop to destroy Trump's coalition. The midterms are a non-negotiable. We must win. Absolutely.
Oh, and before you move on there, Shelly, that's a good point because we all know that Candace's husband is British. He is connected with British
royalty or something.
Royalty, aristocracy. So that may be something to really look into. And also, folks, we talked about this on Christian Conservative last night. Alexander Dugan. This is all part of what he has infiltrated and wanted on the right, chaos and division amongst the religious right, and we're seeing it unfold. So that could be very true. Good.
Right. Got a great point. His friend has got a great point.
We have TLJ is back with her $5 super chat. Have you seen the interview and the transformation in her eyes? Only those in the spirits can discern what was happening. Just saying, look at it. I think
I saw Candace's eyes.
I thought she was referring to. I thought she was referring to the Erica Kirk interview. That's what I thought. I don't know, but okay, you got to put it in the chat, TLJ. Which one you're referring to?
Candace Owens is filled with demonic spirits. Okay.
So go ahead. We have another super chat from. Is it Bernie? Thanks, Bernie. There you are. Thank you for your super chat. A member of our Freedom Seekers Club. Bernie says, do you think Candace having 4 years and 6 years of marriage has had an effect physically and mentally? Absolutely. But for every woman, that's nothing different. So
yeah. And that's on her and her husband. Get her offline. If there's something wrong with this woman mentally due to her postpartum, get her offline. Why do we have to deal with it? But it's definitely something wrong with her because as we can see, she has surrounded herself, and I don't want to go off on a tangent on this. She has surrounded herself with Kanye West and Andrew Tate. And if you guys remember, she is exhibiting similar attributes and characteristics and actions the way Kanye West was acting when he was online. Okay. And she claims he's her best friend. So, I mean, read the line, read the room, folks. Read the room. No, we didn't see this about Erica. No, I'm not going to speak for you, ladies.
What she said, not can't. Oh, yeah, I thought she was talking about Erica. That's why I thought she was talking about the interview. But thank you for your $2 super chat, TLJ. Not Candace, Erica. The world is a stage. Okay, thank you.
I don't know anything about that. Let me say this really quickly because I'm sorry. I am so sorry for you guys. But I disagree with that wholeheartedly. First off, the entire time Charlie Kirk was all while he was alive, this woman, his wife, she never was in front of the camera. She was home taking care of their children. If she was one that wanted the spotlight, don't you think we would have seen more of her while Charlie Kirk was alive? Even before they got married, you can look at her past. People have, seen, talked about her history. She's always been very religious, very traditional. She's not a fast talker like Candace Owens. She's not one of these, want to be in the spotlight people. And so this is what it is. And people are judging her because you all are so used to fake, phony people who all they do are online 24/7 talking over a mic. When this woman is just a regular woman, a mom, a wife. She lost her husband and now she's trying to carry on his legacy. Okay? I mean, it's just... I'm sorry. I just get so annoyed with this stuff, folks. I mean, it's just like... let's move on before this becomes something else. All right. So again, I appreciate you though. I appreciate your thoughts and thank you so much for your super chat. But I vehemently disagree. All right. So let's move on here. We want to stay on this subject of radical Islam. And speaking of that, let's talk about what's going on right here in the United States of America, Dearborne, Michigan. So can you girl, you pray for discernment. Yes, honey.
Thank you, TLJ, for your super chat. Whatever. Look, you can pray for discernment, and so can we. We can still come to different conclusions. Okay, we are not a Borg, a hook connected with this one world or whatever, one brain, so to speak. Thank you, TLJ. We appreciate your super chats. Keep them coming. You are free to disagree, but Candace and Erica and TPU, whatever's going to happen, they're going to happen. And Kung Fu CJ, thank you for your $2 super chat. Candace could have menopause, but that's not menopause. Pregnancy, women been having babies, multiple babies for this time again. Kansas is doing something else. Okay. Real quick, Kung Fu CJ, thank you again for your $5 super chat and your freedom speaker. Now they're pushing her pageant days and knowing Trump before meeting Charlie. You see how? Thank you, Kung Fu. You see how? Again, this Candace Owens stuff, it just seeps into everything. Let's move on, KJ, like you said.
Well, let's move on to some merch and take the temperature down a notch. Everybody's cooking with all this hot fish grease tonight. So this is a beautiful picture of KJ and her All-American t-shirt. Listen, it's too late for Christmas, but get your stuff for New Year's. We actually have the Unapologetically American merch in a long sleeve sweatshirt. And I think a hoodie too, if I'm not mistaken. But, that's a great gift going into A250. And some of the photographs you may have seen from people who had the great pleasure and distinction of visiting the White House during the Christmas season. There were lots of A250 things there. America 250, when I tell you there's going to be a party dang near every day, you should go ahead and garb up. Get 2 or 3 different colors so you have plenty of things to wear. It is going to be an epic year here in the United States. We're going to celebrate. The rest of the world are probably going to come after us, but we got the right kind of security that's going to protect us while we celebrate our great nation and hopefully save it. So get a hat, maybe a trucker hat, maybe a blue shirt and a red shirt, a black shirt, because black goes with everything. The Maryland man shirt, probably something that Josh needs one. Mm-hmm. So he could walk around in, and maybe for his politically connected friend who's spitting hot facts, There's a lot going on, folks, behind the scenes, and we need every right-thinking, patriotic American to stand up. Whether you're on the left or the right, being unapologetically American is what this nation needs now. If you think they're after us now, you've not seen anything when they think that we're too busy celebrating our nation's history and we're going to let our guard down. There are lots of things that are happening behind the scenes. Lots of terrorist attacks have been thwarted. You know, the world is crazy. The world is crazy. But as long as the United States stays the greatest nation this world has ever known, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, you are absolutely right, Nicole. And speaking of terrorist attacks, that was one of the ones that was thwarted. They broke today. The FBI thwarted a terrorist attack in California by radical Islamists, and they were actually targeting Jews. From what I've read, did you guys see that as well?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy times, really is.
Do you know, KJ, let me say this. They weren't just targeting Jews. They were targeting Americans, regardless of their faith. They are targeting our countrymen. We have got to stop this blind, Americans have gotten so polite that we're stupid. We're so polite that we're dumb about our own personal security. We should have never let our enemies into this nation, period. It should have been an uproar from every sitting legislator in this nation when they said, oh no, come on in. We'll take in some Iranians, some Iraqis, some Afghanistan, some Ethiopia, some Somalia, and then give them temporary protection status that never actually ends. Right now, we're looking at, in December, TPS is going to expire for Ethiopia. That means they're going to have to go back to their home nation. If you want to hear some people wailing and gnashing of teeth, every Ethiopian community project in this nation that's funded with our tax dollars, by the way, are pitching a damn fit because their temporary status is over. They need to go home. And they're saying, well, we can't go home. Not because it's not safe, but it's not like here. We're used to here. We have businesses. If you're only here temporary, why the hell do you have a business in my nation?
Yeah.
We have done this to ourselves. We got to get real, folks. We have got to get real.
Yeah, you're right. You are absolutely right, folks. And if you agree, hit that like button as you all come in here. We are, it helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and we appreciate the support. So talking about homegrown terrorism, radical Islam, let's go to Dearborn, Michigan. Folks, you're not going to believe this. Even CBS News now is reporting on what's going on with this Somali fraud in Dearborn, Michigan. Can you believe it? Take a look. This is clip 3.
A honeymoon in the Maldives, a fleet of luxury cars. Here's a box with more than $270,000 in cash. This was all evidence from a new trove of files obtained exclusively by CBS News, showing how a group of convicted Minnesota fraudsters spent taxpayer dollars. One text message reads, "You are going to be the richest 25-year-old.
We're not even at the end of the beginning of our pursuit of the stolen money and of the people who stole it."
U.S. Attorney Daniel Rosen leads the office digging into the wave of COVID-era fraud that hit Minnesota.
So how much money are we talking about stolen from the American taxpayer?
I can say with great comfort, well in excess of $1 billion.
In the past 3 years, 87 defendants have been charged, 61 convicted. The majority of them are Somali American. Minnesota has the nation's largest Somali population. The perpetrators are accused of ripping off state-run programs intended to feed low-income kids, house the disabled, and provide services to autistic children.
This was a get-rich scheme.
Andy Luger was the U.S. attorney who first examined this fraud. He left in January.
One of the things we discovered is that a number of the people involved were buying investment property, resort property in Kenya.
Wire transfers reviewed by CBS News also show more than $1 million went to Chinese banks. The Trump administration has said it's investigating whether any of the money fell into the hands of terror groups like al-Shabaab in Somalia.
Wow. And folks, this is what we know. This is what they were able to uncover. You know, there is much more fraud and corruption that they did not even get into. They don't know yet. Okay. And this comes, he said, almost $1 billion when people are out here struggling around the holidays, struggling to put food on their tables. People are struggling to pay rent, to pay mortgage, and these people who shouldn't even be here are out here defrauding our system.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole, what are your thoughts?
Deport them all. Deport them all. Trump started with 19 nations. Now we're up to 30 nations. I'm going to tell you, every nation but this nation. We have a high alert, a red alert security that's happening here in the United States. Everybody with temporary protection status needs to go home. They need to go home. When our homeland and our way of life is threatened, we need them gone. Everybody who came here with chain migration, you got to go home. Now, I understand and say, I'm productive and I pay taxes. Not enough. We need you gone. We need you gone so that we can get our house in order. And once our house is in order, then we can have an intelligent conversation about what it looks like for people to migrate to this nation. When you look at some of the world's most epic leftist nations like Norway. I mean, Norway makes American Democrats look like Newt Gingrich. I mean, they are the biggest welfare state the world has ever seen. They have started DNA testing Somalis because they figured out that Somalis' brothers and sisters were saying that they were married so that they could migrate to Norway. I'm not against DNA testing Somalis because apparently, brothers and sisters pretending like their husbands and wives is the thing for that nation. This is absolutely obscene. They're using our goodwill and our laws against us. And we're sitting here going, well, we're going to have to investigate. And the investigation is going to take 3, 4, 5 years. There'll be a new administration who's not going to do the investigation. And you know who gets the shitty end of the stick? The American taxpayer. Because it's our children that they're or assaulting. It's our tax dollars that they're stealing. Our property that they're living in while they're buying resorts in Kenya. This is absolutely obscene. And every sitting legislator is to blame. Democrat or Republican makes me no difference. They need to be setting Congress on fire with this.
Yeah. Shelley, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, let me say this. Victor Davis Hanson, he gave an interview recently, and he was talking about specifically in Minnesota, but he was talking about things that I've talked about, we talked about on here. It really goes back to our government. Let me tell you why. Our government takes our taxpayer dollars. They set up all of these extra judicial and extra legislative funds and grants and all these programs, disperse them out amongst the states. And you better believe this is Minnesota. You better believe this corruption and fraud happens with every federal program, particularly the larger ones, and most of them grow from infancy until whenever, so they grow anyway. So this corruption and fraud, this is just touching the ice, the skimming off the top, if you will, for Minneapolis. But this is a part of the government overreach, the government believing that it has the authority to literally run our lives, take our money, invest our money. Then they give contracts to cronies and nepotism, if you will. They get these loopbacks, these financial loopbacks where people are being paid because I know you or you're related to me. I'm going to get you in this position so you can set up this grant program. It's virtually incestuous. It's a financial incestuous pit. That's what it is. And most Americans are on the outside of it. We're paying for it. So this goes across the board. This is why I say, give us our money back. It's our money. The government does not have the authority to do this. Yes, it does it because by force and fear of being jailed or any other legal proceedings. And so again, Americans, we're basically ass out. Okay, when the government accuses you of something, most of us automatically go, oh, well, they must have done something wrong. They must be doing this, or they must be guilty already. And I'm not talking about like violent crimes. I'm just talking about even financial crimes like this. But we don't see that in a big picture. Our government takes our money and does whatever it wants to do, and we have to eat the bills. We are not getting this money back, okay? And that man said about $1 billion. Oh, it's more. Because if they can only account for $1 billion, it's probably triple or 4 times more than that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And you mentioned incest, this incestual relationship, and that takes us to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Folks, she married her brother. Take a look at this image. This is image 2. Okay. That is her brother on the left. Now, full disclosure, he is a self-identifying dandy. All right. And then that is the marriage license. So, I mean, reports are coming out all over the place that she married her brother. The last one specifically, according to New York Post, is that Minnesota Democrat saying, let me see it, where was it? According to the UK Daily Mail, sources confirm Omar told friends that her second husband was actually her brother, and that the marriage was a scam to get him immigration papers. So people, we've been seeing all over the news, particularly on the right, they were saying she used it to get him. No, you did this to get him here. So furthermore, one of these friends told the outlet that the relationship was a major scandal in Minneapolis Somali community when it happened, long before Omar became a major political figure. Omar has long denied the marriage was a scam or that the two were related. And political media have called conservatives who brought attention to the unusual arrangement conspiracy theorists. Okay, but it's looking to be that this is true. So she said that the marriage was conducted through a Christian minister, even though both Omar and Ahmed Almi are Muslim, because he suspects imams in the Minneapolis area would have known the two were related and refused to wed them. Now, she was wed to her first husband, but it was a marriage that I don't believe was recognized by the U.S. What are your thoughts on this, Nicole?
This marry your brother situation is so very common in the Somali community. Again, Norway started DNA testing them. If you were a Somali couple and you did not have any children, because the first thing they do is they start popping babies because the birthright citizenship. And what Norway did is if you were a Somali couple and you didn't have children, they DNA tested you. So if you wanted to continue to live on their very generous welfare system, you had to be DNA tested, and people who refused were automatically deported.
So wait. So are you saying that they would marry their siblings and then have babies?
No, they would not have babies. That's how they knew that something was wrong, because generally when they come to a foreign nation, the first thing they want to do is have the anchor baby. They want to have a baby that has the passport of the nation where they're living currently, right? So they want to have an American baby born here on American soil. They want to have a Norwegian baby born in Norway. But you have these Somali couples that don't have any children. They're married by a Christian person or another faith, but not by an imam. So what they started to do is DNA test them. And what they discovered is that many of them were siblings.
Wow.
And that's how they were getting them into Norway, because at some point, Norway took a real hard look at what their country was becoming and said, stop, this is not going to work for us. We have to save our culture. These people were riding bikes across the Russian border into Norway, pedaling in, because it's illegal to come by car. It's illegal to walk, but it never said anything about biking. So they would bike over in any way to get into the nation. And what's fascinating to me is, humanitarian people around the world will say, well, they're running from war. They're running from famine. There can't be anybody left in their nation. They have infiltrated every single corner of the globe except for their corner. Except for their corner. I have this fascinating theory. Hear me out. It's called Go Home and Make Your Nation Great. Your own personal MAGA. Hell, I'll even buy you a hat. I'll buy you a hat, a MAGA hat. You can go on back to your nation and rebuild it from the ground up. What you can't do is tear down other nations with the same foolishness that caused your nation to collapse. It's ridiculous. The fact that we are even having a conversation about a sitting U.S. Congresswoman marrying her brother to bring him and his dandy self here to the United States is a huge issue. So I need somebody, I don't give a damn which side of the aisle, to come up with the Ilhan Omar Act that says Somalis with no children need to be DNA tested if they intend to collect 1 cent of American taxpayer benefit. 1 cent, even if it's housing. We need to find out if you brought your brother here or your sister here under a fake marriage. I know it sounds outrageous, but this is what they're doing. Any way to get over.
Yeah, Shelley. I mean, and this is the thing. Many of them, over 80%, are on social programs. They're on welfare. So it's like they're coming here and they're becoming parasites. What are your thoughts?
And the question to ask is, why have we allowed it? Okay. Why have we allowed it? Because I contend that there was some quote unquote benefit for Americans or American government, state governments to allow it. And the benefit was that they can, again, create these fake programs and they get kickbacks. They set up contractors and all this stuff, and everybody gets kickbacks, and they're able to buy, $100,000, $200,000 cars and keep $270,000 in cash in a box under their bed. Whatever the case may be, those are kickbacks. They get promoted along the I think the article was talking about the GS scale. Everybody, the federal government scale or the state government, whatever. Everybody, pretty much, the people know that these kind of people know that the money come here as an immigrant in need, and you can basically bleed the government dry, the American taxpayers dry, because Americans, what they're gonna do. They're gonna feel sorry for you. There's gonna be a program for Somalis, a program for Ethiopians, a program for whatever, and there's not going to be much checking. And the reason there's not much checking is because those programs grow bigger and bigger. The bigger the government, the smaller the citizen. They're too big to even manage. They're too big to be efficient. Okay. Again, this is what do you say? It's a tale as old as time, as the song says. Okay, it's nothing new, but it's a scam. It's a big scam because elected officials, bureaucrats, if you will, have access to unimaginable funds. They're called taxpayer funds. They have access to them, and they can divert them however they want.
And vote.
Folks, I want you all to sound off on this. Sound off and let us know what you think. Are you as upset about this? Are you as angry about this as we are, as Americans who script and scrape every day, who work hard, and then to see these people coming over here, milking our system, causing all kinds of chaos and havoc? It's awful. It's awful. And something needs to be done about this. Sound off in the chat and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to change gears slightly a little bit and talk about some very sad news. Folks, we are 10 days away from Christmas. And this has just been one heck of a weekend of death. And this news story of Rob Reiner. You folks I think everybody knows who Rob Reiner is. He is an actor, director, producer. He first came on the scene in All in the Family, a sitcom out, what was that, in the 60s, I guess, or 70s.
Right.
With the funny character Archie Bunker, and he played his stepson, his son-in-law, Meathead. And then he went on to become a great director in Hollywood. He put together some of our classic movies. One of my favorites, When Harry Met Sally. He also, what else did he do? He did
A Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, The Princess Bride, like you said. Is that what you said, Nicole?
Yeah,
Yes.
Princess Bride, Misery. I mean, he
Yes.
has really done some great movies. Well, he was found, he and his wife, who he had been married to for many, many years, I think they said over 30 years,
Mhm.
they were found dead in their homes over the weekend, stabbed to death. And the prime suspect is their son. Their son. Take a look at this clip. This is an old clip, but you can see how he and his son were very awkward towards one another. This is clip 7. Wow. So news reports are showing, according to the Daily Mail, Rob Reiner's daughter turned in the brother Nick to the police after parents were murdered in their mansion. So I mean, Shelly, what are your thoughts on this?
When I first heard it, probably like millions of others, I said this was a close up. So this was something personal, somebody close to that family. I didn't have any idea that it would be his son would be the prime suspect. But nevertheless, and reading some things that have been coming online over this weekend, apparently Nick was troubled, and that's putting it mildly. Okay. It sounds like, again, what I'm reading, his parents have been dealing with his drug abuse, substance abuse since at least 14. He's been in therapy, rehab. And again, these are rehabs at the highest level. These people are multi-millionaires. Okay. They can afford the highest level of rehab, the inpatient ones where you get that one-on-one, whatever, intensive care. So I'm not blaming Rob. I'm blaming the piece of shit known as the suspect, his son. Okay. I thank God for his daughter. I feel sorry for his daughter. She had to see her parents like that. But even not so much beyond this, but a part of this is just like in our society, we have this, I call it this, I don't know, this spirit of hating children. There's a spirit where children hate their parents. They don't honor their parents. Parents are not honored anymore. Few and far between, if you will. Parents are seen as some, appendage to the child and on the same level as the child. There's no distinction. I'm saying back in the day, and I don't know what day that is, but it would be few and far between that you would hear of a child attacking, let alone murdering his or her parents. Okay. I mean, they would not even, raise up, if you will, as we say, towards their parents, even as adults. Okay. There was just this level of, okay, this is mom, this is dad, short of being abused or whatever as a child. If they haven't done anything like that, then I, as the child, I need to respect my parents. That's no longer here. It's largely gone in today's society. And thus we have, in my never to be a humble opinion, we have Rob Reiner and his wife, throats slit in their home where they raised the jackass, where they raised the piece of shit, probably, or maybe another home, but their home. They devoted their lives to raising their kids. They are adults now. What else can they do? It's atrocious.
Yeah, you're right. They are adults. The sister, Romy Reiner, is 28. She went to check on her film director father and mom, Michelle, after their masseuse said they failed to answer the door around 2 p.m. Sunday, sources told the Daily Mail. When she arrived at the $13.5 million Brentwood mansion, she found her 78-year-old dad and 70-year-old mom dead, allegedly with their throats slit. Nicole, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, they were saying that the two parents and the son went to Conan O'Brien's Christmas party and could be heard throughout the party in a screaming match. So there was definitely some family issues there. And we don't know the extent of those family issues. I mean, listening to what Rob Reiner had to say about, being a tough parent and now trying to embrace tough love. But what we have seen traditionally out of Hollywood is that they're very permissive parents, and drug use is not necessarily frowned upon.
Right.
So we don't know what that dynamic was. What I can say definitively is that murdering your parents is absolutely abhorrent. There's something definitely wrong with the person who wants to murder the people who gave him the gift of life, right? But there's so much, upside down in the world now. Shelley is right when we talk about how children view their parents. When once parents stopped parenting their children and became their children's friend, that relationship became optional. The respect dynamic changed. You weren't respected simply because you are the parent, the provider, the teacher, the nurturer. When you became their friend, you're expendable. And we see that now with a lot of these so-called no contact adults or adult children who, when they don't get their way, opt out of a relationship with their parents until in some cases, it's too late. And then they miss out on all of the things that family is supposed to be. And now they're mad at the dead parent because they didn't get the relationship that they passed on because of whatever they thought their parents were. This is a cultural shift that we're experiencing, and prayerfully it changes. Prayerfully, what we're going through now, this cultural shift that we're going through, kind of flips us back to where parents actually parent their children. And there's nothing wrong with saying this magic word to kids. It's called no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No explanation. No, because I said no. And I don't have to explain myself to you. And I'm not going to put you in 3 years of therapy because you're struggling with the in and an out. No means no. And that would go a long way in straightening out a whole lot of this foolishness that's happening in this world. You pray for the souls of this couple that was killed. I was no fan of him personally. But I feel bad for anybody who's killed by their children. It's just horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah. It was terrible. And again, I don't know him personally. I just know of his work in Hollywood. Now, I do know that he was, very vocal in regards to his political leaning. I'm sorry, and he was a leftist through and through, as most of Hollywood is.
One of the things, KJ, about that is interesting because when Rob Reiner was younger in the sitcoms, things like that, many of these people, again, leftist, liberal, if you want to call them that, whatever, we didn't know their politics.
Mm-hmm.
We knew their talent, right? Which is why many of us have fond memories of the movies he did, things like that, sitcoms. We knew that. Same thing for Off the Rails, Robert De Niro. Excellent actor, right? We didn't want to know their talents. I mean their politics. We just cared about their talents and their skills and what they actually they were able to kind of have this unity, if you will, amongst Americans with the fond memories, things we can all kind of relate to, periods of time that we can look back on fondly, regardless of whatever they were politically, whatever their political leanings were. So this is just it's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, well, we didn't know their political leanings.
Exactly.
And then from our political leaders did not comment on Hollywood.
Right.
But we have here President Trump commenting on this today on Truth Social. He says a very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness. And with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace.
Totally inappropriate. Totally inappropriate.
Listen, he ain't wrong, but this ain't that moment. You know what I mean?
Totally
There's
inappropriate.
a time and a place.
Inappropriate.
Time and a place for everything. He could have taken the first two sentences and the last sentence and been right on point, right over the target. But, it's something about when people not only kind of get in your way, but try to do things that destroy your children and your children's children. And it gets to a point where it's absolutely personal. And some of us have the good grace of being able to tamp that down and say, I'm going to take the higher road. I'm going to take the higher road. And some folks just don't. And it is what it is.
Totally inappropriate. Okay. Again, I voted for President Trump 3 times. I admire his. That was totally inappropriate. I don't know of any instances. I don't know. I'm not saying there are none. I don't know of any instances where Rob Reiner went after Trump's kids or grandchildren. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But this was totally inappropriate. President Trump, if he had said anything at all, he could have just said, rest in peace. It was a tragedy. I'm sorry to hear this, and move on. I mean, there will be enough time, like you said. There will be what's the day? Today's Monday.
Yep.
By this weekend, it's going to be enough politicization of this back and forth, and President Trump could have jumped in then. But that was totally inappropriate. I mean, we talk about on the right. We talk about the left when they do things like this. We have to at least say the same thing about our side. It was just totally inappropriate. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, we all get in the weeds. We all can get in the mud, within this stuff. But leaders, to me, are supposed to take the high road. They are supposed to unite. And anything less really isn't leadership. Folks, we got midterms coming up, and we're going to need more than Republicans. We're going to need more than MAGA to keep these Republicans in the House and Senate. And it doesn't look good. It does not look good. We talked about this previously, how Miami, which was 30 years, a Republican held. Now a Democrat is mayor of Miami. There've been other races that did not go the way conservatives wanted them to go. It's going to be tough. And so we need a united nation more than ever right now. And so to me, it's like when we can unite, let's unite. And when we want to get in the mud and we want to, give it to the left, we can do that. But this certainly was not a time to do that. This would have been a great time to say, rest in peace, really. If he had to say anything at all. I don't understand why he had to say anything at all.
Have to jump into it. Americans are killed every day, and there's no reason for him to jump into the woods.
Exactly.
With the exception of, again, I'm not making excuses for him, but you all are human beings. You have family. If someone came after your son, KJ, and everything your son worked for in his whole life, and was bankrolling the people who were continually suing your son, pursuing people who helped you get elected, like Charlie Kirk, like TPUSA, all of those attorneys who were chasing them had to be paid by someone, and Hollywood elites bankrolled that. They bankrolled the Russian hoax. They bankrolled all of this. So this isn't Trump just, feeling some kind of way because this guy was a rabbit ass Democrat. This is one of the power players who bankrolled the destruction of the Trump family. So this is very personal, intensely personal. This is where I say he should have leaned on that button on his desk and called his comm staff and said, this is what I want to say. Somebody make it make sense. And again, the first 2 sentences and the last sentence, and Mr. President, we're going to hold this other thing till next week. That's what should have happened. But you can't blame him as the patriarch of his family for feeling protective. But
I don't want a patriarch of the family. I want a president.
Well,
I didn't vote for a patriarch of the family. And that's why I would not run for office. I'm not the one to run because I know that I don't have what leaders are supposed to have. Now, I'm not saying to unite us with the left. No, I'm not saying that. But we got to understand we are in a country where the majority are in the middle. And we have to bring them over to our side. And there are sometimes there are small glimmers where we can do that. Generally around sporting events,
American moment, Americana.
And so
the Army Navy game was a great example of that.
Just a couple of months ago, we were saying how the left was saying awful, disgusting things about the death of Charlie Kirk. You know, and you know, we have to, I expect us to do, you know, what we want others to do.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, I'm not gonna make a big deal about it,
Yeah.
but you know, it's just like, come on.
This was an Americana moment. I mean, in the sense that millions of Americans grew up with, you know, seeing him on TV, things like that. The movies we just named and many more. So this was just that Americana moment to just take that moment. And again, many people across left, right, middle, they loved that era. So that's all I'm saying. It was inappropriate in relation to that. But we have some super chatters who may not be. I hope they're not. They're not inappropriate. Let's see who they are. Because the producers are calling my name. So TLJ is back. Thank you again for your $2 super chat. She says it starts from the head and trickles down the system. Yeah, okay. Jason Mitchell, thank you for your $5 super chat. Too white for Coke. Okay.
I know that's right.
Thank you for your $5 super chat. Says, hi, ladies. It's been a while since I caught a live. Coddled children don't respect anyone, least of all their parents. You're exactly right.
Yes.
Thank you, TJ, again. TLJ, for your $2 super chat. She says social media has a big influence over our children. You are absolutely correct. It does. Hi, Jessica. Thank you for being a member of our Freedom Seekers Club, and you gifted 5 Pop in Politics membership. Thank you, Jessica. Shrinkerella, you are also a member of our Freedom Seekers Club. She's also a YouTube member. Thank you. Kung Fu CJ, you're back. Thank you for your $10 super chat. Said he didn't use cursing. I think you're talking about Trump. He didn't use cursing in his statement. Reiner has been interviewed and has said some harsh things about Trump and his family. Google them. Okay, cool. I believe you. Thank you all for your super chats. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe. We need those to go up. So this podcast, this platform can go around the world and they can have our voices to help settle some things and counter all the noise out there. Yes, and that's for you, Tiggy, and I'll be yelling too.
Oh God. All right, folks. All right. And again, you know, folks, you know that we are not in any type, at least I'm not going to say, I am not in any type of leadership within the political parties. I'm not, you know, I'm not running for office. So I can say something like, let's move on to California, you know, because what we do here is we Derek Chauvin the Democrats. We keep our knees on their necks. I can say stuff like this, but I don't want my president to say stuff like this. Okay.
Listen.
So what are you know, so it is what it is.
All yes, right. It is. I mean,
let's move on. Let's move on. We got to get on to California, folks. Oh my goodness. So again, as we move into the holiday season, 10 days, just 10 days till Christmas, people are scrambling to get gifts. And even if you're not getting gifts, you're scrambling to pay your rent, your mortgage, and gas. And the gas in California is still at an all-time high right now. They have not seen any relief in regards to the gas. Take a look at this next clip. This is clip 1.
God damn.
State and federal leaders are sounding the alarm bells on what they call California's dwindling supply of oil produced in state.
We have an energy crisis in our state, and it looks like it is only going to intensify.
Republican lawmakers, including Congressman Vince Fong and State Assembly member Stan Ellis, both of Bakersfield, say the imminent closure of 2 major California refineries, Valero in the Bay Area city of Benicia and Phillips 66 in Los Angeles, is concerning, with reports showing that could reduce the state's refining capacity by nearly 20%.
Wait a minute. If refineries keep shutting down, what does that do to all of the bases?
So the state of California is on the cusp of a fuel crisis in this great country, and the reasons for that are entirely self-made. They are caused by Democratic Party politicians within that state seeking to add on more and more environmental standards to gasoline and other forms of energy within their state. And guess what? It is backfiring in a big way, and that is why we've known for a while, with the announcement of these fuel refineries closing by year's end that California, one of the wealthiest places in the entire world, largest individual state economy in this entire country, is on the cusp of a fuel crisis. And again, it is all the making of the Democratic Party. And this is what we're going to talk about today. But before we...
Wow. All right. And this guy is slated to run for president. Shelley, what are your thoughts on this self-inflicted energy crisis in California?
You vote. Votes matter. How you vote matters, and who you vote for matters. If you want to see your money constantly taken by the state, California has extremely high, I call them high tax rates. Over 50% of your income can be gone just from working when you pay paycheck to paycheck when you get paid. So if you count in local, state, federal taxes, it's too much. It's too much. And guess what? Over here on the other left coast, over here in Maryland, our tax, gas tax is variable. So it fluctuates depending on, I guess, inflation, interest rates, the cost of gasoline, things like that, cost of oil, crude, whatever. So it's not that much of a difference, although we have seen some lower prices compared to California. But nevertheless, Gavin Newsom, most, if not all of the left, the Democrats, they want big government. They want to control our lives. They really don't want us to drive cars. Okay. Certainly not gasoline fuel cars. They really don't, because you know why? Ultimately, they want to take away our freedom. Having your own automobile is one of the most important, if you will, one of the most significant indicators of freedom in America, that you can get in your car and drive across the country if you want, all the way in your car, top down, sunroof, whatever, and just be an American. They ultimately want to change our society to be under a socialist, hell, even a communist government. That's what they really want.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're talking about here in California, again, that this is all self-inflicted. What they're doing is they're taking a very aggressive regulatory approach toward oil and gas. And like Shelley mentioned, we're seeing similar things from Democrats here in Maryland. What are your thoughts here, Nicole?
So there are three main points to know about this California-made problem. So I think it was like 2014 or so, they started using this gas called carbob. Now, it's a special blend that's not supposed to pollute and, all the California emissions and yada, yada, yada. Well, the problem is only California uses it here in the United States. If they want more carbob, they have to get it from Asia. So they have to get it from South Korea or India. Those are the other two places that develop this particular special blend that California exclusively uses. With that said, Chevron left last year and they are moving to Texas. I think they have 7,000 employees and only 2,000 employees are left in California because the employees did not want to move to California because it's too expensive to live there. So they're in Houston. The Shell stations are closing and they're turning all of their oil off and doing the electric plug-in stations because California is under a mandate to move everybody of the 32 million cars that they have to electric vehicles. So Shell has positioned itself to be the plug-in king of California. But in the meantime, you've got two refineries that are shutting down that have cost California about 17% of their overall carbob production. Now, what that means is not only trouble for California, so that $6 gas they have now is very quickly in early 2026 is predicted to be $8 by the end of 2026 to be $10 or $12 if you can find it.
What?
California also creates oil or gas for Nevada, right? For Arizona, neighboring areas. So this is not just a California problem. They have over legislated themselves into their own crisis. On top of all of that, all of the mom and pop gas stations are having a hard time. California said they had to dig up all of their single wall tanks, the tanks that are underground that hold the gas, and pull up the single ones, put new double walled $2 million tanks in the ground. The mom and pop said, we don't have $2 million to to be digging up our tanks. The state of California said, well, we have grants and we have loans. You just have to apply. So the mom and pops applied. You know when they started hearing replies back from the state of California? Last month. Do you know when it expires? This month. Not whether or not they got the grant, if they're eligible for it. So these mom and pop stations are closing their doors. If you live in a rural area in California and there are 2 gas stations in your neighborhood and both of them are run by mom and pops, a la 7-Eleven, guess what? There's not going to be any gas in your neighborhood. So you're going to have to drive further. School buses, EMS, all of that is going to have to go further to get the energy that they need to protect and serve. So California has created this, monster problem when there doesn't need to be a monster problem. Valerio is shutting down their production there, their refinery there. And I can't remember the name of the other company that's shutting down their production there. 17% of your energy gone in one swipe of a legislative pen. And that jackass wants to be our next president.
Well, they're doing it on purpose. I believe that they are doing this on purpose. I was recently in Arizona and they have a whole lot of driverless cars. Everywhere you go, you know how you get an Uber or a Lyft here on the East Coast. Well, in Arizona, they have these things called Waymoos. Right. But they're everywhere. They are everywhere. And they're driverless cars. You get in, you can do it. You download the app, you get in, and they drive. No, it's really weird. I mean, nothing is in the front of the vehicle. It's driving itself. Okay. And so, when I was there with a group of people and they're so excited because apparently they're coming here to Maryland. The next installation is Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and I forget the other place that they're coming on the East Coast. But this is all by design, folks. Absolutely. Eventually, they don't want us owning our own cars. They want everyone driving these electric Waymoos so they can dictate our comings and our goings. They're trying to make gas so high that people won't buy gas-powered vehicles any longer. This is all by design.
Absolutely.
They won't buy it. It's not even going to be available. They had that 2030 mandate. And when, Marylanders finally pushed back on it, now suddenly, they're talking about, well, we have to find a way to supplement the gas tax, which, as Shelley pointed out, is connected to our consumer price index. So when inflation goes up, Maryland's gas goes up. When inflation goes down, Maryland's gas stays where it is. So it's not even fair and equitable, but that's what it is. What they want to do, instead of tracking us by our easy passes, like when you go through a toll road and that kind of thing, they now want to track you for mileage tax.
Absolutely. Well, remember, O'Malley wanted to tax the rain, right?
That's how we won. We had umbrellas that said, he wants to tax the rain. Listen, I ran a letter writing campaign that said, turn our shit off. I live in Southern Maryland. It rains great here. I got a river down the street. You can keep the rain.
I can't remember. Somebody in the chat said the same thing. They don't, was it Klaus Schwab? We will own nothing and be happy. That's what they want. They want us to be controlled to the nth degree. And again, we have allowed this. We have allowed this idea of freedom. It's two extremes, right? It's extreme. Like some people say, oh, you got to have rules. Yeah, you have to have rules in order, but that doesn't mean that we have to give up our freedoms. Our freedoms don't come from government. Okay, we've been taught or we've been made to believe that they do, so therefore they can take them away. Right? Our legislatures, they don't read bills anymore. They just sign them. And like Nancy Pelosi, we got to find out what's in it after it passes. Right? This is the same mindset that it's been in our country for a long time. So when these people get in charge, power, they want more power. They want more control. And human nature as it is, human nature wants to control other people. They don't want to control themselves. They want to control other people so that I control you so I can move about freely. And this is what they want. This is by design. They don't want us driving. Hell, they don't even want us to have certain stoves and refrigerators. And they don't want us to be able to control our own thermostat. This is all in the same same vein. This is not anything far-fetched. This is what they're trying to do. All of these world leaders and globalist meetings over in Davos and the World Economic Forum and the IMF, these things are all connected, and they trickle down to the local level, to all of us going to the gas station, pumping up, and that one day we go, we might not be anything there at all, like you said.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
It
And,
happened
and Laura said, I ain't getting in no vehicle with no driver. I mean, this is insane, folks. I mean, it's all by design. We've got fraud, we've got corruption going on, and that takes us to DC. All right. Explosive allegations out of the nation's capital. Washington, D.C.'s own police chief is accused of cooking the crime stats. Have you all been following this story? Literally manipulating crime data to make the city look safer than it actually was. Take a look. This is clip 5.
Led House Oversight Committee now releasing a report accusing the outgoing D.C. police chief of manipulating data to artificially lower crime statistics. Bill Malusian looking at the numbers. He's live on the Hill with this. Bill, what you find out?
Bill, good morning to you. Those House Oversight Committee Republicans say the bottom line of what their investigation found is that the outgoing D.C. police chief was essentially cooking the books on crime data and trying to make the city seem a whole lot safer than it really was. Now, those House Republicans say what their investigation consisted of was interviewing all 7 commanders of D.C. Metro Police's patrol districts, including a former commander who's currently suspended for allegedly tampering with crime stats in his own district. And these are some of the conclusions they've made in their report. They allege that D.C. Metro Police Chief Pamela Smith pressured commanders to report lower crime stats by any means necessary. The commanders testified that Chief Smith even pushed them to pursue lesser charges that aren't publicly reported, even for serious crimes, and she required certain crimes to be reviewed by her office. Now, the report also says police commanders testified that Chief Smith punished them and retaliated against them if they tried to report accurate rising crime data, even berating them in meetings and individually to pressure them into reporting those lower crime figures. Now, in a statement on the report, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says in part, quote, Chief Pamela Smith coerced staff to report artificially low crime data and cultivated a culture of fear to achieve her agenda.
What in the world is going on? And what is up with these female police chiefs doing this type of crap? All right, let's get into this. And so, as you guys saw, a House Republican-led report claims that she pressured commanders and staff to manipulate crime data so that the public statistics showed lower violent crime. And this is what we know. Who knows how many cities are doing this? Because guess what? We live in the city, okay? And they keep telling us crime is down, crime is down. It does not feel like it. Shelley, what are your thoughts on these breaking?
This is astonishing. Let me say this. And murders and non-fatal shootings are hard to manipulate because particularly with murders, you have the actual bodies, okay? It's how or when they count them that can be manipulated, right? The families know, people in the communities know that person is no longer there. Funerals, they have the funerals. So it's really hard to, so I don't know which crimes. I mean, I can suspect that the crimes that they're accusing her of manipulating are the non-murders, if you will.
Well, they're talking about lesser categories. So assault,
right, that's what I'm thought. Okay,
labeled as lesser offenses, burglaries, unlawful entry.
So you know the saying, there's I may be saying it wrong. There's lies and then there's statistics, and damn lies and statistics. All you can manipulate them. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. You can manipulate the numbers. You can manipulate when something is recorded, how it's recorded, how you're classifying it. And this is apparently, if she is being accused of this, she's not going to be the only one. Watch how quickly or soon enough we will hear how this is being done in particularly other large metropolitan areas. One note, in Baltimore here in Maryland, there's been a new change to how homicides are going to be recorded as well, right? Just, I think the last 2 weeks, the homicides are now going to be recorded for the year in which the original incident occurred, not the year that the person died. So the new method is, this is an example that's being given. If someone was shot in 2022 but died in 2025, previously the death would be counted in the 2025 count. Well, now that's going to be reversed. So you could be shot in 2022, die in 2025. So now they don't have to go back and say, basically, because the original incident was 2022, they're going to tag that actual death to 2022. So again, it's a manipulation of the numbers. It's a manipulation of the data, the data when it's recorded, things like that. And most citizens are not keeping up with this, you know, like to the depth and the degree that it would have to be kept up with to understand. So the cooking the books is cooking the books, and it's going to be happening, or we're going to hear more about it coming soon. Stay tuned.
Yeah, Nicole, I mean, if crime is really dropping, why alter the numbers?
Well, you can make statistics say what you want them to say. That's the beauty of a statistic. But when your equity officer becomes your chief of police, what do you expect? She definitely was not going to accurately report data. And of course, she used her power to make people dance to her music. You know, walking away from her position as DC's police chief was probably not something she planned to do. But when Trump brought in other federal agencies and they started working together collaboratively, it was just a matter of time before the gig was up. It was just a matter of time before people said, you know, that wasn't a simple assault. This was assault with a deadly. Why hasn't it been recorded that way? Why are they changing their reports to reflect a lesser crime when this was the crime that occurred? So when you talk about them not being able to retain police officers, even though they have a much more robust pay scale, you see these officers walking away to go find other jobs in other communities, not because they didn't love DC in working for those communities, but if that gets caught on your record, who do you think is going to take the fall?
Right.
She's not going to take the fall. She was going to put your head on a stick and put you out there for the Washington Post to tear a new one. So this has been self-preservation. Her walking away from this job is the best thing that could ever happen for the district. Hopefully they get a real police chief, somebody who's very serious about community policing, who's willing to work with federal partners to ensure the safety of people who come to our nation's capital, and it'll work much better. With the mayor stepping away, this is DC's chance to roll out a whole new brigade of people who put their community first and not their own personal political aspirations. I'm hopeful, but I'm going to tell you, if you think DC is something, you wait until Maryland's books get open. You wait until Philadelphia. When you talk about all these blue places, you named most of them, KJ, when you were talking about Waymo. When you named all those blue places, wait till we take a real look at their crime statistics. What really happens when they say it's a historic low? They say that about Baltimore. Every time I drive into the city, I see the zombies walking around. We don't have a drug problem. Really? Are you serious?
Yeah. I mean, and you said they're going to bring in a whole new people, all new people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, call me misogynistic. I want them to have a police chief with beans and hot dogs. Okay. I don't want to see any more of these butchers out here pretending to be men trying to be the police chief. I don't want to see it. Okay. I do not want to see it, because every time we have some type of major event in these cities, and you guys, we've been covering them. You got these butch women come up there. They don't know what they're doing. They're all talking out the side of their necks. And then the whole investigations are found out to be, they're not doing well. They're not done correctly. And it's always led by these women. Okay. So if they're going to bring new people in, I want to see some hard legs. All right. And the DC mayor, Muriel Bowser, she is defending this thing. She called the report politically motivated, rushed, and based on anonymous testimony, as she says. And she insists the crime reduction data is accurate. Okay. But as you all mentioned, we're seeing similar things happen here in Baltimore. The only difference here is the new Baltimore prosecutor, Ivan Bates, is saying, hey, I came in here to clean things up, And the mayor's office is doing something entirely different. We have a clip here. Do you producers, do you have the clip number? I think it's clip 6.
Right at the knees, because this is the talking point that a lot of left-wing idiots are going with, which is it is actually Brandon Scott, the mayor of the city of Baltimore, that has led to the amazing crime drop, specifically a homicide drop in the city of Baltimore since he took office. Now, this should be debunked quickly and easily. First and foremost, Brandon Scott took office in late December of 2020. I showed you that report right there, which was of 2022. And as you can see by this homicide chart, during the first 2 years that he was in office, 2021 and 2022, homicides didn't improve at all. They were still absolutely terrible in every possible way. And by the way, for everybody who's trying to blame the pandemic, I will just point out that it is clearly the Freddie Gray effect, the Black Lives Matter effect, as the increase in homicide to all-time highs in the city of Baltimore dates back to 2015, not 2020. So obviously, it is not Brandon Scott. He had 2 years on his own with District Attorney Marilyn Mosby, or technically State's Attorney, and obviously Mosby being awful at her job, focusing on getting criminals out of prison, not clearing any homicides, treating criminals like they're innocent Beba Angel Aladdins just trying to feed their starving families, did not actually get undone by Brandon Scott. But as you can see right there, 2023 is the year of change. This is when Ivan Bates took office. And again, Ivan Bates ran on a very simple program. He was going to restore the trust of the public in the state's attorney's office. He was going to hire experienced litigators that know how to prosecute crimes, not create departments for freeing criminals. By the way, many of the people that Mosby declared innocent and freed actually went on to hurt and or kill people in the short time after that. But he also decided that he was going to do something that I've been advocating for years. I never thought it would be implemented in a place like Baltimore and it would work this well. But guess what? It absolutely did, which was target the core group of criminals, the repeat offenders who are constantly committing crimes, specifically those who are committing gun crimes, for prosecution. And the homicide rates have dropped so significantly in Baltimore, you are going to be blown away by the numbers.
The beginning of Ivan Bates' term,
Office of State's Attorney,
he made it clear,
and enough is enough.
Criminals in Baltimore would be the target.
Well, if you're breaking the law, you're going to walk around for legal handguns on the streets, bring your toothbrush with you, because we're going to send you to jail.
All right. Ivan Bates. Now, he's a hunker. Okay.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. He's a hard leg.
He got beans and weenies.
Absolutely.
He got bratwurst.
Right. He is currently the state's attorney, and who we are talking about, that is our mayor, Brandon Scott, has been getting all the fanfare from the left. He is a leftist, all right, and he is trying to take credit for this, but it's the wrong way. Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates is now cutting ties with Mayor Brandon Scott's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, also called MONSE, because the mayor's office may be corrupt, ineffective, and hiding what actually goes on inside these programs. Bates says he will no longer share data, coordinate programs, or rely on the mayor's public safety office for anything. All right. CBS reports he cited a veil of secrecy and a lack of transparency in how the mayor's office is handling violence prevention money, communication, and oversight. Sound familiar, Shelley?
It really does. It really does. Remember when Mayor Scott first was elected and put into office, he came up with this program. We talked about it. We went through it on our show. We went through it kind of almost page by page, if you will. Mm-hmm. And this program is a farce. It is a facade. It is fake. I say it's fraud. It's fraudulent. All the money that's collected, they're setting up these programs. We said from the beginning, it was all about him not having to use or wanting to use the police. This is what they want. This is another way to defund the police, if you will. Mm-hmm. Or you take away their powers to do anything, then effectively they are defunded. They might be getting a paycheck, but effectively they're defunded. And that's what Mayor Scott has done. Ivan Bates is saying, oh no, like you said, bring your toothbrush. We love that here in Maryland, hearing him say that, right? bring it to, but he has been prosecuting the violent offenders, which is why we can give credit to, thankfully, there has been a reduction, significant reduction in homicides and non-fatal shooters in Baltimore. I know we have more to go, thankfully, but I'm thanking him for the ones that are there that we've gotten so far. Ivan Bates is a man's man. He has bratwurst and some weenies. So therefore, I mean, I don't know that personally, but I'm just
yeah, I mean, you're talking like you know it personally. What's going on here? I mean, Nicole,
what's the real story? What's the real story, Charles?
Right.
Anyway,
this is the chief prosecutor of Nicole, this is the chief prosecutor of an entire city saying he can't trust the mayor's own public safety shop. You can't make this stuff up.
Well, he shouldn't. So here's the thing, that one of the things that I absolutely love about some states' attorneys, they take their job serious. They don't feel like they're political appointees, so I have to dance to their music. They're saying, I'm here to serve the people, so I'm going to do what it takes to make sure this community is safe, especially those with political aspirations. Because, I'm not saying that, I'm a very political person. I have my ear to the ground, but Mayor Bates sounds much, much better than State's Attorney Bates, at least in some ears. If this man is truly what he's purporting to be, this may be the turn that Baltimore has been looking for. Someone who sees crime as a hindrance to good communities and safer schools, smarter children, in a growing community. So you don't have people fleeing from Baltimore to counties that surround it. People will actually want to live in Baltimore because it's safer. So I'm looking forward to seeing more from him. I'm looking forward to hearing more from him before he puts his name on a ballot. I'm very interested in what his take in some of the other community programs that Baltimore has. What does that going to look like? When you talk about prosecuting high-level crime, where does he fall on prosecuting all crime, not just high-level crime? Because crime is crime. I mean, if somebody knocks you on the head and takes your wallet, it doesn't make you any less broke. You know what I'm saying? Just because you weren't shot or stabbed doesn't make a big difference. I need to know really what he's looking at. But I think it's a step in the right direction. Like Shelley said, it's a vast improvement over Marilyn Mosby. So I am very happy to see him take a step away from the mayor and say, no, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to be doing.
All right. And so, ladies in chat, let's connect the dots. So DC police are manipulating crime data. Baltimore's top prosecutors severing ties with a potentially corrupt mayor's public safety office. So what we're witnessing is a collapse of institutional trust inside Democrat-run cities. Not from conservatives, not from Republicans, but from their own law enforcement officials. So Democrat governance has become a dysfunctional, chaotic place that even their own prosecutors and police chiefs can't work together or tell the truth about crime. We got a real situation here, folks.
Absolutely. We have a super chatter here as well. Let's see. We have Two White for Coke back again. Thank you for your $5 super chat. She says, are you 100% correct, Shelley? The demon rats want 15-minute cities, cities easier to control the people. Absolutely. Put them in a box, basically, and they can't go on 4 corners. So how?
Yep.
All right, folks.
Where you go.
Yep. Well, we will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're doing a special conversation with you guys. We are going to ask the chat, the people who want to join our panel. We're going to bring you on up, and the whole night we're going to have an open discussion about the major topics and news of the day. So please, if you haven't done so already, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know what time we do this tomorrow night. That's Tuesday. It's going to be after 6 p.m. So probably between 8 and 9. We're going to come on here live, and we want you to join us. So, we've Kung Fu CJ always wants to come on. Hope you're available. Pastor Damon, hope you're available. We have some really significant people coming on as well. Some of your favorite podcasters will be joining us tomorrow night. So you do not want to miss it. Again, that's tomorrow right here on Pop and Politics. We don't have a set time yet, but it's going to be sometime around 8 or 9 p.m. tomorrow night. All right. Shelly, we got some more super chatters.
Yes, we do. We have MT times 485. Thank you for your $5 super chat saying, I'm late, but what's your take on Erica giving Candace an out? I think it's weak. I don't think it's moral to allow evil people to continue their evil. Well, MT, thank you for your super chat. We did talk about that. You got to go back and see what we were saying. So I'm going to tease you, give you a tease to go back and so you can look at it and see what you say. And then put a comment in and let us know what you think.
All right. All right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That was a very good response, Shelly, because I was about to keep us on for a whole nother hour. So all right, folks. So again, thank you all so much for checking in with us tonight. We will see you tomorrow. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Good night.